Hello everyone and welcome back to LM Trains here on YouTube. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're not in the world of trains today. This channel is dedicated to the whole of simulation as a whole, not just trains, but the channel is dedicated to the railways. That is my main forte, but it's not my only forte, and I have a lot of other interests in life too. One of which is shipping ships, boats, whatever you want to call them, things that go on water, and essentially there aren't many ship simulators out there. Essentially, if you want a ship simulator, you've not really got much option. Once upon a time there was a game that was called Ship Simulator. Wasn't very good, and they tried to, the developers, bless them, have tried to develop it as much as they possibly can. Right to the point where we ended up with Ship Simulator Extremes, and that is the latest release of a ship simulator. And this is it. This is Ship Simulator Extremes. This is what it's going to look like. This is as good as you're going to get it. I've got the graphics basically turned on to absolute maximum. I'm running an NVIDIA RTX graphics card with 32 gigabytes of RAM and an Intel Core i7 processor running at 4.2 gigahertz. And this is about as good as you're going to get the game to go. Now, there aren't that many sort of fortes you can go into in this simulator. It's quite old. About the newest thing they've got in the game is this, which is the Redjet 4. Now, you'll recognise this if you live in the south of England or indeed on the Isle of Wight. You'll certainly recognise this. There are many ways of getting over to the Isle of Wight, and there's two main operators, Red Funnel and Wight Link, and also you've got hover travel, but that's a completely different sort of thing. The two main shipping companies are Wight Link and Red Funnel. Now, Wight Link operate out of Portsmouth over to Fishbourne, and Red Funnel operate from Southampton through to East and West Cowes. And also Wight Link operate to Ryde Pier Head with their Wight Link fast cat services. Probably the slowest fast cat I've ever been on in my life. I've known cruise ships go faster than that fast cat, and cruise ships weigh 9,000 times more, so I never really understood that. It's probably the slowest fast cat I've ever been on in my life. To turn that side on its head, this is Redjet 4. Now this is probably the fastest way of getting over to the island in terms of sheer speed, not in terms of duration. In terms of duration, that would certainly be the hovercrafts that go over to the Isle of Wight. Over to the Isle of Wight, they go over to ride to the Esplanade. Literally land you on the beach, like a Normandy D-Day landing, and then you're there. You're on the Isle of Wight, nice and simple. This is a trip we're going to take today from here in Southampton over to West Cowes, which is where the Redjet goes in real life. This is one of the I say routes, channels, whatever you want to call it in the game. There are a few. We may go into them later in the game, but I'm not really doing a let's play. It's more of a sort of an explore into shipping. I'm not going to make this a series. There's no point. There's no interest out there in ship simulators at the moment because there isn't a decent one. This is about as good as it gets, and this isn't great. So with that in mind, we are going to proceed basically with this video. And this is going to be very much a one-off, and nonetheless, I hope you enjoy. So we are here in Southampton, and the first thing I'm going to do is basically close the game. May sound a bit weird, but yes, the first thing I am going to do is close the game. There we go. That's a little bit better. So this now will take you onto a screen, and you will see here we're on VStep's website. Now VStep are the company who, essentially, they're the people who published and developed the original Ship Simulator games, including Ship Simulator Extremes. and this essentially is what is coming in the future. Now, like with Microsoft Flight Simulator, we were stuck with FSX for a long time. People modded it, tried to make it as good as they possibly could, and eventually, out the blue, Microsoft teamed up with Asobo and they came up with something beautiful. Now, a very similar thing is happening with shipping simulators, although not on the same scale, of course. There's nowhere near the amount of demand, but a very similar thing is happening here. Probably even better though. Now, I say that because we've been stuck with a really poor rendition of a ship simulator for a long time, but this is the future. So the future is called Nautis, Nautis, as it says here, Maritime Simulator. This will not be the version that will be released. This is a real-life maritime simulator, and essentially, what it is it's what people use in real life, what clients, what customers, what Maersk shipping company, what MSC shipping company, companies like P&O, companies like Staynerline, a lot of companies like that will use simulators either very similar to this or will use Nautis Maritime Simulator. So this is literally a real life version of a ship simulator. And what the people over at VStep are doing is they've teamed up with the people who've worked on Nautis, and they are wanting to produce a simulator called Nautis Home. Now, Nautis Home essentially is going to be a simulator that is going to base itself on the real-life version. It probably won't go into as much detail as the real-life version, because I believe the real-life version has an insane amount of detail, because people are training on that to become real-life ship captains and to become real-life crew on cruise ships, on tanker ships, freight ships, cargo ships, passenger ro-ro ferries, and stuff like that. So people are genuinely using this to train on, and in the future they're currently working on this as a sequel, I would say, really, as the next rendition, as a way to bring ship simulators into the 21st century, because I would very much say that Ship Simulator Extremes is stuck in the 20th century. It's not a very great simulator. It does the job. The graphics aren't fantastic. They can be very much improved. As you can probably see on the little video that they've got there, the graphics in this new simulator are insane. They are absolutely insane. And the water graphics, sort of how everything works, is probably one of the hardest things to do, is to design a ship simulator, because how cars drive, how planes fly, they're all taking forces into account, and it's taken Microsoft and Asobo a long time to get that formula correct with sorting out a flight simulator. Now, a ship simulator is a whole new set of parameters. Not only have you got to introduce speed, but you've got to introduce drag, you've got to introduce resistance, you've got to introduce a whole... If you turn a plane left, the plane tends to go left. If you turn a ship left, it doesn't tend to go left, it tends to sort of drift to the right. It's a whole new sort of set of things that you've got to take into account when designing a ship simulator, and they've already done that, and they've already produced one, and it is being used by customers. And basically what they want to do is transform that into something that we can use at home. Now, I'm never going to be someone who is going to be a captain of a ship. I do get sick, as in like travel sick and stuff like that. So for me, going on a ship is not the top of my process. I could probably do it for like an hour or 2 hours, but any longer than that, and I start to get a bit seasick. So for me, one of the trips I've always done as a child, I had family on the Isle of Wight. Bless them, they're no longer there anymore. But I used to have family on the Isle of Wight, so as a child I used to get dropped off by family at Southampton Town Quay, and I used to, when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I used to go on the Red Jet on my own. I'm not sure whether that was legal or not, but we'll gloss over that. But I used to get on the Red Jet on my own, and then I would be picked up on the other side by my family over on the Isle of Wight. So essentially, I'd be dropped off and picked up, and it would be very nice because I'd stay there, I'd have a look around. Sometimes there was a cruise ship or two parked opposite. If you know Southampton at all, you'll know that the town quay is very close to where everything is. So let's go back to the game. So this is the town quay. It's not modelled in 100% accuracy. In the background you can probably see Marchwood, which is on the other side of Southampton, so there's a big MOD base there. There's a big shipping company that provides ships for the Ministry of Defence. There's a lot of stuff going on in Southampton. It's quite a busy shipping area. There's a lot of cruise ships that come in and out of Southampton too. It's probably one of the biggest cruise ship hubs in the United Kingdom. I must say, I don't think there's anywhere else in the UK that takes as many cruise ships as Southampton does. I think if you just download the Ship Finder app, you'll probably find that out for yourself. If you just have a look on Ship Finder for the amount of cruise ships that are currently either sitting in Weymouth Bay or sitting in Poole Bay or sitting somewhere near Dawlish or somewhere like that, Torquay Bay, just waiting to be able to come into Southampton, because I think they've got some COVID sort of restriction at the moment for cruise ships. Not entirely sure how it's working, but I don't think they can dock on land at the moment. I think they have to dock out in the sea. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this red jet. We're going to take it all the way down to East Cowes, and we're going to sort of have a look at what this ship simulator offers on a basic level, and after that we're basically going to wait until Nautis is released, because there's not really that much else to show you in this simulator. This is about as good as it gets. So I would get dropped off by family, usually along here. This is where the cars would park, and then you walk into this building here. There's a nice little coffee shop in here, a Costa, and then you'd just come out here. There's sort of like, there's meant to be like a pontoon out here and stuff like that, and you would just board the ship here, but none of that's really modelled. I think it's a little bit better modelled when you get to the Isle of Wight, but it's not quite that well modelled here. So let me show you the controls and how everything works. It's a bit funny when you zoom in and out. It doesn't like to zoom in and out for some reason. It's a bit weird. Let me just show you the controls. So here we are. We're in Southampton. You get a nice little map up here. You get a lot of detail. You get the time up here. You've even got a radar, which is extremely cool. You know, something like that has been implemented in the game is fantastic. This is how people on ships you would navigate, you know, through sonar and stuff like that. Very, very cool indeed. And you can also hide the panel if you wish by pressing that button there. It also tells you how much depth you've got below you. That's something you need to know if you're in a, well, not necessarily if you're in a catamaran, but if you're in sort of like a very deep ship. It's got quite a deep bow, or it's got essentially part of the ship is very deep. It can only go through certain parts of the Southampton and Channel and the Solent. For example, when cruise ships come into Southampton, they have to come in a very specific way, where it's being dredged deep enough to get cruise ships in. Some of the bigger cruise ships that have a larger depth than the other cruise ships, Royal Caribbean International being one of them, some of them would have to go or not be able to come into Southampton at all because they're so large. We haven't actually dredged the Southampton Channel deep enough yet to be able to cater for those ships. It actually costs quite a lot of money to dredge the Southampton Channel, so it just depends on how much money you're going to make from it as to whether it's worth it. Anyhow, we're not affected by that, and we are pretty much ready to get underway. So you've got quite a few different functions on this ship. One of the things I don't quite like is how to make it move. It's a bit difficult if you don't. I've never used an Xbox 360 controller with this. I don't think it's supported. I don't know if it's supported. But if you're using a mouse and a keyboard, it's a little bit difficult. So we'll just get straight underway with it. So first of all, you need to get to your connections. Usually you would go to your mooring, and you would select which moor you've currently got attached, but we haven't got any mooring attached because Whoever made this in real life didn't realise that the red jet park's here, so clearly we haven't got any mooring. What we've had to do is drop the anchor instead, which is here, so you just press this red one here, and there we go, the anchor's being pulled up. Now the ship will start to float away. There are sort of weird bits of I don't know how to say it. Weird bits of dimensions in this game where it just sort of realises that you know, the physics need to change, so it sort of tries to change the physics itself, and it doesn't always work. It's not always accurate, but it's quite nice nonetheless. So now we need to change our lighting to underway, which is this one here. That will tell other people that are sailing, like in little boats like that we are underway. There is specific lighting that you need to have. A lot of the cruise ships park along here. What would normally park along the side of us here would be the big passenger ferries, the Red Eagle, the Red Kestrel, the Red. Well, the Red Kestrel is a very new one. The Red Eagle, the Red Falcon, and the Red Osprey were the three ones that used to that still operate on that service with the car ferries. I believe the Red Kestrel is a cargo ferry, made purely for cargo purposes. It's essentially so that they can increase the capacity on the passenger ferries and have more passenger traffic, because they don't have to put all the lorries on that one. They can put the lorries on the Red Kestrel, and then that way at least you know, you can have, you know, double the amount of people on a normal passenger ferry. Makes sense. So if we go inside, I do apologise for the sound, but if we do go inside, you do have a bit of some weird background noise, and that is a bit of a radio. I don't know if you can turn that off. I've never found an ability to turn it off. It is quite annoying, and I usually try and keep it outside as a result of that. At least that way you don't have to listen to them squawking and squabbling along. So we're going to get underway now. So the easiest way to do that is to just sort of increase your, try and match it, and try not to crash into Southampton Town Marina at the same time. See, it's very difficult to do a boat because you never know where the heck it's going to go. This is probably not what you would do in real life. You would probably be a little bit more sensitive than this. So now I'll put it up to about 800 or 1000. And there we go, we're now on the way. There's probably speed restrictions in numerous areas. We're not really going to take any notice of that. We're just going to get down there as quickly as possible. You can make this as realistic as you want it to be. It is not too bad when it comes to you know, getting up to the higher speeds. I still think the graphics between the water and the ships themselves could do with a lot of improvement. They're certainly not, you know, certainly not a fantastic sort of rendition. I mean, it's not great. AI, if anyone's asking about AI, I don't know whether it exists. I've never found out whether it exists. Sometimes it just appears, like a boat might just appear in front of you, like, oh, this looks like it might be an AI boat, but you don't know. You never know until you pull up to it and then you find out it's a boy. But yeah, it's a bit weird. Sometimes there is AI, sometimes there isn't. It just depends on whatever you're doing. So if you want to know why I said that the the Wight Link fast cat ferry is the slowest fast cat in my life, well, we're doing 30 knots, which is quite slow. That is already about 5 knots faster than the highest speed that fast cat can go. So we're already going faster than it could possibly go. So I never really understood why it's so slow, but these are proper fast cats, these ones here. So what we try to do is, well, I think we'll zoom in. This map sort of tells you the depth anywhere that's in dark blue means that's very low shallow depth, and anywhere that's in green is basically land. So you certainly don't want to go onto that. That means you'll be beached if you go onto green. Anything that is yellow is land itself. So you want to sort of stay in the sort of light blue, very light blue to dark blue. It doesn't really matter with something like this. It really doesn't matter. Either way, we're now going to get ourselves up to full power, which is not the easiest thing to do in the world. There you go, 1,800 RPM each. And off we go. So that is Hythe Pier, I believe. And there's also a ship sort of, I would say, construction, ship maintenance facility over there, which is also where Red Jet 4, which is this ship, is currently based at the moment. I think it's having its annual refit or something like that, essentially. Very nice indeed. So this is very prototypical to what this this service would do in real life. You can go and have a nice little view inside. It's not very detailed. It looks like it's sort of it's a very sort of OMSI-like ship simulator, in the sense that I think it's better than OMSI in the sense that I think the UI, the user interface, is much better than OMSI. However, I also believe that it just looks like, you know, they've modelled this very poorly. That being said, it does the job, and it's quite an old game, so. I've never really understood what these people are saying. Doesn't really make any sense. I think there's probably ship people out there in real life who work in shipping that would say all that they're saying is total like nonsense. They're just talking nonsense. Nothing that they're saying is actually true. Or realistic by any measure. Anyhow, so around the top speed of this thing is about 38 knots, which is about 33, 34 miles an hour, I believe, something around that. It might be more. I don't know what the conversion is. I don't know whether it's like kilometres. Well, it's certainly not like kilometres an hour, but whether it's like it is on other on like planes and stuff like that, where you can just convert the ground speed over. But it's I think when you're on the sea, it might be very different. And then you've got Forley Oil Terminal, which is coming up here. You see all the oil drums and stuff like that, and the oil refinery. Don't know why the sound just cuts out, sometimes that's a bit certainly quite odd. We like to sort of stay away from Forley. In real life, you just need to sort of stay away from it all, and as you can see, it says Forley Marina Terminal there, I believe. So as you're coming down the Southampton water here, you'll edge out into the Solent. In around 3 or 4 minutes time, you'll be into the Solent. Then you'll be crossing the Solent for about 5 minutes, and then you're over on the Isle of Wight. It's not a long journey time at all. I think for a ship simulator, it does the job. It's a very basic ship simulator, and I think I think the ambition is to get it to be much better. Obviously, what you are able to see in the new ship simulator is more than apparent going to be the answer to everyone's questions when they're wanting a ship simulator. I would happily pay £30 for a ship simulator that allows me to have free roam of any you know any shipping water in the world or something like that, you know. If it had the freedom of Microsoft Flight Simulator, then that would be amazing. I think on the smaller ships in this game it's very, very realistic, but I think the larger ships are it gets a little bit lost in the physics with the larger ships, I believe. So this being the only time I'm going to explore this game, I might as well give it a positive review. It does the job of what you need it to do. Basic functions of a ship and everything is done to the best of its ability. I think it tries to be a ship simulator as much as it can be a ship simulator, as much as the developers have done with it. It's a V-step game, and if you know V-step at all, then this was really about as good as it was ever going to get. Although I'm very, very, very surprised that they've come across this Nautis thing, and I am genuinely excited. I just I don't want them to focus too much on the graphics and then not focus on the ability, what you can do with the ship. You know, I want to be able to interact with, you know, be able to tie off and more at various places that I can possibly do so. I think freedom is something that everyone would like in a ship simulator. The freedom to do whatever you wish, go wherever you want. So this out here, we're getting to Calshot Spit now, which is the piece of land that sort of just comes out at the bottom of the Southampton water. We're coming into the Solent very shortly, where these boys are, and we're sort of aiming for this area over here on the Isle of Wight. It's always worth looking to see if there is any options, but if you go to the pause function, there is no options to change any graphic settings whilst you're in the game, or change any sound settings. I think you have to do that from the main menu, and even from the main menu, it's quite limited on what you can do. So. I'm not quite sure if this game is still available. I have it on DVD. I got it on DVD. I'm playing it through Steam. I'm not entirely sure if it is available on Steam. I believe it may have been discontinued. If it is still available on Steam, then that is I think there's a con. In the sense it's a con because I'm not sure if it installs correctly. I believe that it's just been discontinued to the point now where there's no support for it at all. So if you have any issues with the game, then you're just on your own. You know, you're absolutely on your own. So I would say that it shouldn't be available on Steam. So with that in mind, I think even if you have the DVD function, when I put the DVD into my computer, it tried to made me do it through Steam. And then it just wouldn't let me install it. I think I was just having, massive issues. It was just saying that, every time I tried to do it through Steam, it was just saying it couldn't do it for some reason or another. So I believe if you've got the DVD function of this, the DVD version of this game, I'm not quite sure it will work. Not that you'll want it to work, you're not missing out on much, to be honest. I think I got this right from the very start when it was available on Steam, and yeah, worth. I would pay probably about 5-10 quid for this game. That is probably what it's worth. I'd say tenner at a push. It's not got that many functions in it. It's got some interesting routes. It's got some interesting ships. It's got DLC that I'm not sure if it's still available or not. But I also think that the weather is a bit weird. It's the way it works is very odd. It's got some very weird graphical glitches that happen, especially with the water on the main menu. But this being a route that I recognise very well, ever since I was going on it as a child, I used to sort of sit down at one of the seats around here, watch Forley oil terminal go past, and then I remember when you'd arrive into East Cowes, or West Cowes, sorry. East Cowes is where the car ferry goes, West Cowes is where the fast cat goes. The ship would sort of, the catamaran would go past the the jetty, and then it would sort of flip its way round and then come back to the jetty and then park up next to it. I'm not sure whether you can oh dear, I've just done something very bad. Oh, this is where this game has its downfall. I'm not sure whether you can moor up at this jetty either. That's a good thing to sort of say, but hey, there's also a very specific way you have to come into East Cowes and West Cowes because of the obviously the dredging and the I mean, there's not really many big ships that come in. I think the biggest ship must be that big car ferry that comes in. You can drive the car ferry in this game if you want, if you have it. If you don't have it, you can't get it, and it's too late. Sorry. But if you already have it, yeah, you can drive the car ferry in it. I believe it's part of the standard game, the core game. It's not DLC. This is not downloadable content. This is with this comes as with the base game, which I quite like. I quite like that as well. So we'll do what they did in what they do in real life. I think they've pulled the power back to about 300 RPM or something like that, and cruise in. So here it is here, that's the jetty. So we'll take our power off. Let ourselves slow down. And then perform a turn. I think I've misjudged that. I think I have. Yep, I've definitely misjudged that. See, you can only get it right. You have to really practice to get that right. I think that's where the ship simulator comes into its own, because it sort of punishes you if you don't. I don't know whether the physics are good, or whether I'm just naff, or whether it's a bit of both, or whether it's a bit of like poor physics plus poor being able to do anything with a ship. Right, let's see if there's any moorings available. Nope, that sounds about right. Lovely. We're going to have to use the old anchor again, by the looks of it. Oh, and that, I think, tells you everything about this game. The physics are a little bit off. They certainly are a little bit off. And they've never really settled down. I think that is about as good as you can get this game. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed. This is a little introduction to ship simulators at the moment. That will be about as much as we can possibly look into in this game. It's dire on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's a ship simulator. What else can you do? We're very much looking forward to Nautis Home. As soon as it has any news on that, I will let everybody know on the channel. I'm very much looking forward to being able to do a let's play on that. If a demo comes out or an alpha comes out or something like that, I will sign up to be an alpha tester or a beta tester. I'd love to have that opportunity. So we can only wait and see. The thing is with Nautis is because they are providing. They are a company who provides shipping solutions to real life companies. They obviously have to put their clients first, rather than you and me who are at home. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that one. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and yes, I will certainly see you in the next LM Trains video here on the channel. Anyway, take care, have a lovely rest of your evening, all the best, ta-ra, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.